everyone. Today I want to talk a little bit about the surface, a little bit about the depths, and a little bit about the relationship between the two. So you may have noticed that for many years I wore no makeup, probably for all the time that you would have seen my face and all the time that there was such a thing as social media. But if you're somebody who's known me for a long time, that probably was a surprise turn of events. Starting at a pretty young age, being an artist, being a painter, I developed a pretty intense fascination with makeup. I grew up on a Christmas tree farm in rural Connecticut and spent a lot of time in the woods alone. And so as I was, getting to know my passions and my sensitivities and the things that moved me and interested me, I was very, very interested in accessing information from the collective about how to be a woman. I felt like a woman, fully developed woman, trapped in a little kid's body, and was just tormented by the state of being young and not being heard and not being taken seriously, because I think I could always feel like I have something to say, but you still have to go through the process of your brain developing fully and your command of your native language developing enough to be able to express yourself. So one of the big events of the week, if I wanted stimulation, was that I could volunteer to accompany my mother to the grocery store. And so I would help her clip the coupons, and then we'd get to the grocery store and we would split up the pile of coupons and go and on a scavenger hunt to find all of the items and have our grocery bill for a family of 4 be like $80 a week. And so I loved this. This was like the highlight of the week. And part of the perks of that was that sometimes I could pick out something like, the flavor of Nutri-Grain bars we were going to eat for breakfast. I liked raspberry. As sometimes I could get a magazine, a woman's magazine. And so a little known fact, actually, like very few people know about me, is that my journey with women's mysteries, blood mysteries, rites of menstruation, all of these things actually began with devouring every issue of Glamour and Cosmopolitan magazine that came out, in the 80s and early 90s. And so I have, even like, growing up, my mom is Indigenous. So I spent my whole life watching people glaze over and not take her seriously and not hear her, and being furious about it because I had this really deep, the mother-daughter connections, my blood. Used to say, oh yeah, Erin never cut the apron strings. And, I would agree with that. I just stretched them because, why wouldn't I? My home planet is awesome. Why wouldn't I want to remain connected to it, in as many ways are healthy. So my mom had this really unique kind of intactness that had her moving through the world, but not taking on or taking seriously anything that was being thrown at her, anybody else's beliefs about her. And so she didn't know who David Bowie was. She would fall asleep halfway through every movie because her body needed rest more than it needed like stimulation or cultural programming. So there was a way in which her innate intactness prevented her from being programmed by and becoming an instrument by which like certain broken cultural norms get passed on. So I didn't have body issues. And this is like something that could be shocking to people. It's like I went through a short period of time in middle school where I thought my breasts were pointy and I didn't have any underboob area, and I was consumed by this for a short period of time. I definitely had issues around being teased for having a mustache, or for having a unibrow, or for having, a very large portion of my armpit that has hair in it, more than most males in the mostly white area where I grew up. So, those definitely are, I guess, in the category of body issues. But I never had, like, the kind of things around, like, size and shape and dieting stuff that, like, most people go through. And I can attribute this only to my mother embodying this just, like, intactness that I've heard expressed by a sister of a sister who's also, like, very rooted in the earth, saying, I cannot imagine wasting my energy thinking about something as trivial as what I look like on the surface. When you're around people that are really embodying that, like, I just saying it, like, kind of acting it out for you, I feel this power in my core and this solidity in my core. So maybe if you can't imagine feeling that way, you could try just saying it, try just acting out that, what it would be like, and see what happens in your body. So anyway, I have on the one side this intactness and this embodiment of what it means to just be moving through the world and in the world, but not of it, and just really valuing life in, like, a very humble and real way. And then on the other side, just mainlining, like, guzzling cultural programs, like chomping them down, trash compactoring them down, transmuting, I guess. But all of that converging around, makeup tutorials before there was even a YouTube, fashion. And that's a part also, like, learning, what does it mean to be a woman in North America? What does it mean to be a woman in these times? It's like a primer, not on what it actually is, but what I will be told it is, what I will need to navigate. So I don't regret this at all. I think it was very useful in combination with all the other things that complete the full spectrum experience of being a woman. And so having been someone who really couldn't leave the house without, like, a full cake of makeup on, that sort of ended slowly. It was maybe like a year in when I was really like, ooh, compact. I love that. I can have a compact little powder. Like, that just seemed so adult. But like a year in, I remember being in school and realizing that, like, 3 or 4 in the afternoon every day, I just wanted to, like, dig my nails into my face and scrape it off. And I remember finally going to the bathroom and doing that one day, and then just throwing that powder, the CoverGirl powder compact, away, and being like, my skin needs to breathe. And so I'm really glad I got that message early on. Then, the next thing is that it became a way of signaling, like, what alternative subcultures that I was a part of. And I became really interested in goth, and I wanted to, like, signal to other people who were into goth music that, we had the same feelings about life. And of course I didn't realize, as most, I think, Latinx ex-goth people maybe sometime come to realize, oh, wait a second, I thought I was trying to look like a vampire, or trying to look dead, or trying to look like a Christian Death fan to other Christian Death fans, but actually I was fucking painting my face white. I was a brown woman in white face. So it's like, really uncomfortable to contemplate, but I am going to own up to that right now, that, like, That was part of it on a deeply unconscious level. Like I really had no idea that I was trying to be as white as possible. And so it's like a back door, like being goth for people of color can be a back door into trying to be white without realizing what you're doing. Especially because a lot of early goth music came out of England, and so things like having a British accent, and you know, for your favorite bands, like gets associated with something cool, and then, or something you think is cool, I'll say, and you think is alternative, and then lo and behold, like you're just fetishizing whiteness and white skin in British culture, like not everyone else, but like, you know, again, if you grew up in North America, like many other people. Going through this period of time of really needing to learn to be comfortable in my own skin and show my actual face, because when I have a lot of makeup on, I'm not sure why, but my face actually seems to register the weight of it. And it becomes harder and harder to animate my face. So if you ever see me with a full face of makeup on, I will probably look like somebody who's very pissy and brittle, because I freeze inside. Like I can't, my energy and the nature in me can't figure out how to embody through like a thick layer of crap. And so again, this is something I had to notice over many, many years, saying, why did I feel that way on that day and not on this other day? And so like liberating my face was really important. And being comfortable with then what happens when my face is liberated, because when I'm not wearing the mask, like the physical mask, my face does all kinds of stuff, and my eyes are rolling all around, and my face can't lie. If I'm unhappy, everybody knows it. It's very, very expressive. And so then dealing with moving through the world at that level of vulnerability and that level of authenticity was also something that took a lot of time to sort of radically level up my communication skills, to be able to navigate people being able to tell what I was feeling, and people responding and reacting to what I was feeling inside. So the other level of accountability to like regulating the emotions, and you know, mastering the emotions. But if I use that word, I have to sort of add the caveat that, like, you know, there's no fix it and forget it with mastery. Definition of mastery that says like, I have put this on my radar consciously as something that is going to continue to teach me and continue to evolve me. And it's a lifelong and multi-lifetime long journey of interest and commitment. All of that said, I went through a period of maybe, I don't know, 3 to 5 years where I was actually in protest of makeup. So the only makeup that I would use is this Burt's Bees tinted chapstick. And I was sad to learn from a priestess sister recently that Burt's Bees is like owned by something or someone shitty now, like Procter and Gamble. Of course, it doesn't say that on the label. And this was like, you know, a brand that I remember when it first came out, and I saved up my $4 of allowance to buy like the I think it was in a tin, and it felt so precious. So I do have a nostalgic connection to, and they sell it in my very small town at the grocery store. So this is not something that I have like fully decolonized, my like go-to chapstick. But I was in protest, and so I wanted people to see my face, my freckles, my overplucked eyebrows from my youth of trying to eradicate my indigeneity, you know, my uneven overplucked eyebrows, and my pimples, and get with it. realize, wait, like I totally see all that stuff and like I kind of still like her, or I'm kind of still interested in what she's saying, or like, maybe I didn't even notice because it doesn't matter. And that was a good thing for me to go through. So ironically, I ended up kind of having a return to the enjoyment of the process of putting on makeup during deep pandemic lockdown in secluded, extremely rural countryside in total isolation. So there's kind of an assumption that makeup is a performance, that makeup is something that we put on for other people, that the enjoyment we get out of makeup is the enjoyment we get from being found beautiful by other people. And I just, here to, it can be all those things, but I'm here to be just a voice that says not always so. And that for me, it's intrinsically enjoyable, like tongue scraping. Like when my son learned that there's something oddly satisfying about hosing down the driveway for his grandmother, and so he volunteers to do that as like a chore when he's helping her out. And he's 10 and he's really into this meme with other 10-year-olds of like oddly satisfying. So I think makeup can fall into one of those categories of oddly satisfying, that it's a really unique way of looking, very detailed and focused, and there's a lot of hand-eye coordination and a lot of muscle memory that develops in the process, and the tending, like you can't go in there and like hammer away on your face, like you have to like be gentle with yourself, and so all of those things can be really soothing. And so I'm gonna just end it with a little acknowledgement that probably like I don't know, any of you that have developed a larger following have probably noticed the like insane uptick in spamming of like what's like called like partnerships, collaborations, total hijacking of this language of relationship to request, usually in a really entitled and rushed feeling, copy and paste tone, placement of like often like real shit products, like real crap products on your page. So to me, it's like completely ridiculous that we would be a holistic educational institution, if you want to call it that, organization. It's just me here these days, by the way. I'm not an institution, I'm not an organization, but ridiculous legal designations required to exist. But for me to be that, and for people to be like, I've been following your page for some time, and I really think that this would be a great fit. And it's like hairspray and like extreme makeup, like shellacs filled with chemicals, all day super gloss, car paint, lipstick, and whatever. And it's like, I really don't have a problem with if those things are interesting to you. Like everybody has a percent of their energy that they're dedicating to their highest self-expression, and then a percent of their energy where they're just here experimenting, playing around, interacting with what shows up, what comes through. I'm not gonna judge your percents. What captures your attention, what amuses you. But it's really exhausting to me to try to get through my inbox and to try to get through my day with the amount. They're very persistent. Usually they'll send like 3 or 4 or 5 follow-up emails just to say, just want to make sure you saw this amazing opportunity. Hey, did you have a chance to check this out yet? And so the amount of just like clicking and deleting I have to do now, I resent it. So that, I love genuine, aligned co-branding opportunities, like this dress, for example. I love clothes. I love magic. I love women entrepreneurs. I love women entrepreneurs that like, you know, have been growing and changing and realizing that some of their ways are not the best and are publicly apologizing for some of the things that they have done and said in the past. So this is from Spell, a company in Byron Bay, Australia. I don't know these people, but you know, approaching with a genuinely aligned co-branding opportunity is just fun. You know, it's just playing in the field of creation. But the putting crap on my face and putting crap in my body thing, just, you know, I'll let you all know right now, I'm not interested. So my makeup, I'm gonna end with my makeup tutorial because people ask me that too. And these were given to me. I don't change it very often. Sorry, I don't care. I know they say that things like eye bacteria live on there, but like practicing the wise woman tradition, that's like not especially interested in like sanitizing everything. It's like, if everything you put inside your body that you're eating is medicine and fermented and filled with living probiotics, then your body is meant to be a robust bacteria and virus processing center. So I've never had a problem with old makeup. Sorry to everyone that says you should throw out all your makeup like every 6 or 8 weeks or something. I call that planned obsolescence and bullshit. So, you know, here my eyebrow, and I usually will do a little of this if I just want to look sharp, and I'm filling in, sadly, what I have removed at other points in my journey, capriciously thinking I would always want to look as white as possible. So if, like, you know, fill in a little bit, backfill my unibrow a little bit. When I was in kindergarten, there was a family in my school who maybe they were a little Italian or something, and there was a couple of them, but especially like an older girl who was like really gorgeous in a little bit androgynous way, and she had like these eyebrows in the middle that went like this. And I used to call it the wild eyebrow in kindergarten, and I thought it was the fucking most beautiful thing in the world before I learned, you know, other beauty standards. So I like to bring back a little bit of my wild eyebrow, and then I do a little bit of whoop. And that's a nod to my youth, something that I am, a gem that I have taken away from goth culture. And when I had a record collection, I think I had 18 Susie and the Banshees and Creatures records. So that was a real first love. And if you know who that is, you know, big chunky square eyebrows and huge cat eye. And so that liquid eyeliner swoop becoming part of my muscle memory, and being able to do a difficult makeup move in, you know, 3 seconds was a huge part of my identity. So that little boop, boop, it's just a nod to something that I do still think was kind of cool about, you know, 16-year-old Erenita. Then the Burt's Beats tinted chapstick. And this is one indulgence of the pandemic, is saying, you know, that chapstick just looks a tiny bit better when there's an itsy bitsy bit of definition between lip skin and face skin. Subtleties, totally pointless, intrinsically pleasing. Feel it in here. Ooh. And so that's the evolution of what's come out of this year in isolation, is that I'm actually not anti all makeup. I think it's important to be able to leave the house without it, but you know, life is hard, and no one else is responsible for making us happy or feel good. and we are 100% responsible for keeping ourselves amused enough to want to stay on the planet, to not kill ourselves, because it really can be that hard here, my experience. And if this is all it takes to keep you amused enough to stay here, then I think that is great. And yeah, this concludes our exploration of face makeup and all of our thoughts about it. For those of you who, over the years, who have asked, and I have ignored your questions, not because you're not important, but because I just didn't have the bandwidth. But I was in the mood and had a moment today, and wanted to just give y'all what you're wanting and needing. Blessings.